Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Delivering with Service Plans. I'll be your Scotterator for today's session, and I bring you greetings from sunny Florida. As the Scotterator, it is my job to receive any questions you may have in the questions panel. If something's going on with the presentation where like the audio or the video isn't working properly, you can reach out to me in the questions panel there as well. Running the show today is going to be my close personal friend, David Allen. Many moons ago, when he joined our training team, I was like, David Allen, like David Allen Co? No, not Co. And in that moment, the legend that is David Allen, not Co, was born. Without any further ado, I turn it over to him.
All right, thank you very much, Scotty. Hello, everybody. As Scotty has said, I am David Allen, not Co. If there's any issues with hearing me, if you can't hear me speaking right now, go ahead and let us know in the question pod or in the chat. But back to the presentation is I started with ConnectWise in 2014. I did the overnight support consultant for our Australian and European and also New Zealand partners. Helped pilot the Automate premium support program towards my end of the tenure in our support area. And then I joined the education team as a consultant in 2018. And even though I am not David Allen Co., fun fact, I actually do in fact share my birthday with David Allen Co. All right, now to the important stuff. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about our available service plans in Automate. These are things that are going to come out of the box. So we are reviewing our standard service plans, our no contract service plans, and our AV and backup only service plans. Then after that, we're going to take a very brief look at our audit plans. And then we're going to get into our custom service plans. We have a scenario there where we're going to set up go through the steps of creating a custom service plan for a call center scenario. So let's go ahead and get started with looking at our available service plans. Now, first, to start working with the service plans, we have to know where the heck are they? Where do they exist in Automate? And the service plans, you look for them in sort of two ways. First is in our groups within the control center. So you can see I have our control center set up here. And what I've done is gone to the groups tab, and then we've gone down to the service plans group. And within that group is our parent groups for our service plans being our main parent group. And you can see we do have Linux and Mac servers and workstations service plan groups. And we also have Windows servers and Windows workstations. The focus of today's webinar, we're going to be focusing mainly on the Windows servers and Windows workstations. When it comes to creating a custom service plan later on, the process will pretty much be the same for the Mac and Linux as well. When I expand Windows servers and Windows workstations, these are the majority of the service plans we're going to be talking about today. These are where the majority of them live within Automate. But notice on server roles, we do have the ability to expand that even further, because buried within that is more service plans that pertain to the roles that you may have assigned to your server. In this example, we are looking at the Windows Server's core services service plan. And in there, we have service plans for DNS servers, DHCP, file servers, domain controllers, and more. Each of those groups have monitoring scripts and remote monitoring cater to those specific roles in your service plans. So now that we know where they are in the groups and in the control center, how would we look for a service plan or say assign a service plan to a client? Well, if we navigate back over to our clients tab and we're looking at the Acme client we have here, I've gone ahead and selected the Tampa location, and I will double click to open that and navigate it over to our Ignite tab. Now under our Ignite tab, we're right at the Services tab, right where we need to be to select a service plan. You can see we have a server service plan managed 24/7, which is one of our standard plans. And then we have a workstation service plan selected here called NotCo Test, which was a custom service plan I created. Clicking the drop down, you do get the complete selection of available service plans in this Automate setup. And depending on if you have already created some custom service plans, your list could vary here. Same goes for the workstation service plans as well. We have our usual managed 24/7 and 8x5, our HAAS service plan, and so on. Now notice here we also have the audit plan option, and in order to select that, because it's currently grayed out, you have to set either the server or the workstation service plan to none. As soon as you set that to none, you have the ability to then go up here and select an audit plan for this client. And we'll talk a little bit more about audit plans later on. One thing to also note is that in order for your agents to actually join a service plan and get assigned the monitoring that you want in the service plan, you absolutely have to make sure that you have enable onboarding turned on and that onboarding is complete when your agents go to get into a service plan. The searches later on, when we look at our searches, you're going to see that having onboarding complete is going to be required in order to get into a service plan group. So you'll want to make sure enable onboarding is turned on. So we'll start with our standard service plans, which are our 24/7 or 8x5 managed service plans. This is a group that is going to send alerts for, say, our servers 24/7 according to the alert templates that are assigned to it. And if we navigate to our computers and internal monitors, this is the majority of the monitors that come assigned and already enabled for this service plan. This is what is mainly out of the box for this particular service plan. To make any kind of changes or tweaks to the service plan, I can come in here and double click on this monitor I have selected here, and I can decide that maybe I just want to simply disable it. I don't want to know about that issue, or I can select a different alert template, maybe something with some auto remediation in there, and if it doesn't solve it, it can create a ticket. And of course, I can change the ticket category that pertains to that monitor as well. Now, this group is set up very similar to our managed 8x5 service plan. So when we look at the two here with our 24/7 on the left and our 8x5 on the right, you can see pretty much the same list of monitors are enabled here with regards to the global and inherited monitors. But if you look at the alert template, they do differ slightly between the two groups. Some do have a 24/7 template, others have an 8x5 template. So the alerts and the monitoring that will happen with the group will follow what you have set for the alert templates. Keep in mind is making any changes in here, as I mentioned before, is going to affect any of the agents that are within this group. So this is going to have a more global effect. If you want to go in and really custom tailor a service plan, then I would recommend you create your own, which we'll look at later on. The remote monitoring that comes out of the box for this group is here under remote monitors, and you can see we do have some performance and service monitors since this is a server service plan. If I want to make any changes to these kind of monitors, I can do that simply up here, where again I can select a different alert template and tell it that I want some auto remediation in there if I've designed an alert template with a script to auto remediate issues. Or I can go ahead and change the monitor itself and adjust that for the servers in this group. This is a more complete list of the remote monitors that you get in this group. It's mainly performance and service monitors that are listed here. These are our remote monitors because they can check the servers more frequently. So we have a lot of remote monitors for this group because an internal monitor can only check as quickly as every 5 minutes, and that also depends on the agent template that is assigned that sends information into Automate. If the Automate agent is only sending in certain information, say every hour, and that internal monitor is running every 5 minutes, it's going to be looking at stale information. So you want to be sure to have your monitors adjusted accordingly. For more vital operations on these machines, you want to use a remote monitor, something that can check it, say, every minute and a half, like you see here, or every 60 seconds to make sure that a service is running, that the performance is doing well on the server. That is a good purpose for the remote monitoring on this group. We also do have a small set of scheduled scripts that come out of the box for this group as well. Ignore the inherited shell commands. That is a script that one of my colleagues added in there. But we do have the agent maintenance contract script and our set as master as well for this group. Next, we have our no contract groups. These are not no contract where, don't think of them as you're not doing any service for them, or, oh, they don't have a contract, I do nothing for them, I'm just going to look at their stuff. These are more break fix. So these are for your clients that maybe they didn't quite want your auto remediation services or things being done in the background, but they still want you to monitor their stuff, keep an eye on things, and then if anything comes up, you call them on the phone and you say, hey, I've noticed that your services has been crashing on a certain server. Can we go in and take a look at that? Can we remediate this issue if they choose to? So our no contract is for a break fix scenario. With that, it is also noted here at the bottom of the group, if you open one of the no contract groups, that it's just there to gather information. It's basically going to create a ticket, something your team can do something with, or raise an alert. But there's no remediation or patching that's going to occur with the machines in this group. So the set of monitoring is actually a little different that you get on this group as well. With our internal monitors, you can see that the majority of these monitors are no contract is what's enabled here, with exception to our global monitors and the inherited monitor from a higher up parent group. And the majority of these no contract monitors are also going to go ahead and create a ticket, with maybe one exception here for a default do nothing template on this one. But this is where it's going to create a ticket for your PSA, and then your PSA will take that and put it to its proper board. And then one of your service techs can reach out to this client and say, hey, we have a problem with your free disk space on one of your servers. We need to increase space, or maybe something in the cloud's not working right, or so on. But it gives you the information you need to go to that break fix client to then remediate the issue. Since this doesn't have any active monitoring and this is more for a break fix scenario, there is not any remote monitors assigned to this group. So this is a blank slate here. You can come in here and add them. You certainly can if you want, but it's not necessary since this is, again, a break fix scenario. And then with our scheduled scripts, the one that should be in here is just the agent maintenance non-contract script that just runs against the agents in this group. Moving on to our AV only groups, or our server antivirus only and workstation antivirus only, we have even more or less monitoring, I should say, that happens in these groups. Since the groups are doing what their name intends, just monitoring AV, this is the set of monitors that is enabled out of the box in this setup or this Automate environment. You can see we're just looking to see if AV has been disabled, anything's out of date, or software is missing, or if we have any blacklisted events happening with Symantec in this example. Now this group, unlike the last group we looked at, does have some remote monitors enabled on here, looking at, again, the AV related services for this group. And then we do have some scheduled scripts set up here as well that deal with those AV services. So if it notices that deal with updating these AV services, making sure your definitions are up to date, maybe running in manual AV scans, something you have scheduled out in the script, maybe once a night, every night, just making sure things are up to date. Now, your settings can vary here. It can also depend on maybe what AVs you have set up for your clients. You could come in here and definitely add some things, add different scripts, add different monitoring as well. But this is out of the box how this group comes to be on our Automate environment. And now we have the backup only service plan groups. This group even has less monitoring than the previous groups we were looking at. Since this is just looking for the backup service, this right here is the only monitor that you get enabled on this group for internal monitors. That's it. It's just making sure that our particular flavor of backup, in this case Symantec, is enabled, and it does have an auto fix action assigned to it. So there is remediation in this group, but it's only monitoring the one thing to make sure backup is running. There is no remote monitors here. Again, depending on what you're using for your backups, you could have maybe a service that needs to run. So you could have a remote monitor just checking to make sure that a service is running on a server, just to make sure that your backup's going to happen when it's supposed to. And then again, we have our agent maintenance non-contract script that runs on here. Since this is just a backup only group, that's all it's really going to concern itself with, just watching its backups happen and making sure that they do happen, and it has auto remediation if they happen to fail. All right, so that was the majority of our service plans in Automate. Now we're going to take a very brief look at the audit plans and the idea behind those. So our audit plans in Automate actually live in a different area in the control center. If you ever want to go in and tweak your audit plans and change them, they actually live in the parent folder prospective clients, and then you find the 3 different audit plan groups here. When you open one of these groups and check out the settings in there, they're actually a pretty blank slate when it comes to setting up audit plans. The notes here does say that this is going to also do no patching or monitoring, depending on how you set it up, because you can come in here and change it to do monitoring if you would like. But the idea of this group is to just be information gathering. This is arming your sales team with information to then go to this potential client and say, hey, we've had this audit plan running on your systems for maybe a week or two, and we've noticed some things that we've picked up on that our team can remediate for you and help improve performance and reliability within your network. I want to go ahead and present you with this information and show you this and show what value I can bring to the table for your company. So when we look at the internal monitors on here, pretty much everything is disabled, again, with the exception of global monitors. Since global monitors aren't assigned to any groups, they're going to go ahead and be assigned to everything. So nothing is enabled here, but you can go ahead and enable monitors that you like to start tweaking the audit plan how you want it, because all 3 of the audit plans are set up like this out of the box. So if you want an audit plan to go in and monitor to make sure AV is running or to see if AV software is missing, you can enable that monitor, and then you can set an alert template to maybe simply raise an alert, or just have it start creating tickets that go to a different board that your techs know not to work on. And then that way you can say, hey, with our temporary monitoring on here, we've generated X amount of tickets. We could resolve these issues for you if you choose to use our services. This is very useful, again, for arming your sales team with the tools they need to help make that sale. So with that, our remote monitors is a blank slate as well. You can very well do the same thing here, where you can set up a remote monitor and select the alert template that, again, would help arm you with that information. Simply have it raise an alert or at least create a ticket. And since this is an evaluation group and it is just gathering information, we don't need to have any scheduled scripts run here at all. But that doesn't mean you can't come in and set up your own script in here too. You certainly can do that. Setting up your audit plans Giving you this blank slate allows you to come in here to your audit plan and cater it to what you want to show the client and show them the excellent service you can provide. So with that, now we know where our service plans live, we know where our audit plans are and what their purpose is. So now we can look at the main part of the show here, which is creating custom service plans. Because we know that not all service plans are one size fits all. If you have someone going into your default service plans and start making changes, and they're thinking, oh, I can make the 24/7 service plan do all these different things, they're not only going to change it for one client, they're going to change it for all of your clients that are using that. So they could end up creating a real mess. So this is where the idea of a custom service plan can come in, because now you can make a service plan that will fit each and every client's needs. So in this case, we can say that you've recently acquired a new project of building out an infrastructure for, say, 400 to 600 endpoints in a call center. That's a lot of machines. It was a long, painful, time-consuming process to set up the necessary call center software on each of the endpoints, including the servers, as well as the necessary monitors to monitor said software from both the server side and the client side. But you have word of mouth now has spread and you're landing more call center clients. So how can you start the deployment of the necessary scripts and monitors without the need for increasing your headcount? Because maybe you went into this 400 to 600 with a team of guys here, and hey, you could have done it with a network probe and automate and had to at least install the agents on all the machines, and you could distribute the software that way, but maybe there were still a few of you guys working on that. Doing this will allow you to still get that agent installed, but then creating a custom service plan group that will cater to this kind of client will allow the service plan group to do all the work for you. So you can be the one person that distributes the agents, and then after that, let the service plan do the work. So to start off with creating a custom service plan, we're going to start in the control center under our groups tab. And I'm going to right click on the group's main group right here, or you could call it the parent group. And I'm going to create a group. And this is going to be my parent group for my custom service plans. So I get the new group window that opens up here. I'll name that custom service plans. And the settings that I've chosen on the main tab for this group is based off of the service plans group. You don't necessarily have to use that, but I've gone ahead and done that because what's in the service plan group does work for the system. So I decided to, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel on a whole new process, use the same process for my custom service plans group. This won't have an effect on the other agents in the other groups. This is only going to mess with the custom service plan groups. So I'll select the same auto join search that the service plans group is using because it's just a placeholder search anyway. Use the limit to search feature and then click save to save this group. Once I've done that, now that custom service plans group has appeared on here, and this will be my parent group for the custom service plans. So I can right click on that now and select to create a group. So the new group window would open again, and I've named this group the call center workstations 24/7. I'm going to give it similar settings to our workstations 24/7 service plan group. I don't need to change the type because that's inherited from the parent group or the group membership. I'm just going to leave it as regular, or for you more seasoned automate users out there, that would be our grade master group, but we call it the regular group now. And I'll go ahead and click create. After that is created, the window indicates the new group's been created with a name change up there, so it's no longer the new group window. And with that group created, now I need to start with being able to assign my agents to that service plan. If I have the group created and I've gone ahead and assigned or set up my monitoring for it, my internal monitors, my remote monitors, my scripts, and so on. Now I need to be able to tell my agents how to get into that group. And you start to do that by creating extra data fields or additional fields within Automate. So back from our control center, I'm going to select System, and then I'm going to navigate up to our configuration and open the dashboard. Now within the dashboard, I've navigated to Config, Configurations, and Additional Fields. This is where I'm going to create that field to be able to select my custom service plan within the Ignite tab on the client's location. So down here at the bottom, I will navigate to the Locations tab because that's where I'm going to add this extra field. And I'm going to select the Workstation Service Plan. This is that drop-down that already exists on the Location tab for under Ignite for our clients. Notice when I select that and I hover it over here, it says that each listing is separated by a tilde. You can see our AV only, our backup only, our backup combo. These pertain to our different service plans, and it ends with our no contract. So I'm going to come here after no contract, and I'll add another tilde and put the call center workstations 24/7. This is going to be my new custom service plan. What's followed after that is a pipe which separates the hover over for that drop down if I were in that client location. So you can add the description here for this field as well. I'm going to leave that alone. I don't see any need to change that. So with that, I will click save on this, and now I have my extra data field created for the service plan. Back to the control center, if I come over now to my Acme client and open up the Tampa location, I'm back on the Ignite tab again once opening the location. Now when I click the Workstation Service Plan dropdown, I can select the Call Center Workstations 24/7 Service Plan. So selecting that, notice that the Save button still says grayed out. This is because you can think of it as adding additional information to the agents within that location. So I'm actually going to click the Save Additional Information button up here in the upper left. You may think after doing that, well, my job is done. I've got the service plan selected there, I'm good, but not so fast. We have to create the auto join search to be able to get these agents into the service plan group. Without this search, the agents will be aimed at that service plan, or you'll have that field selected, but Automate won't know what to do with that. So I've reopened the call center workstations 24/7 group we created before. And again, rather than try to reinvent the wheel, I've decided to employ one of our Automate best practices is don't get sloppy, make a copy. Since I'm making this service plan similar to our default managed 24/7 workstations service plan, I'm actually going to select the search that is used for that group. And at first you may think, well, Notco, that's a search that's used on the other group. This isn't going to be right. It's just going to start pulling in agents that are aimed at that service plan. And you'd be right. But now that I've selected that search, I'm going to hit preview and run. And I'll actually open up that search here. And when you open up this search, notice a few things that first, as I mentioned before, you have to have that onboarding turned on and it has to be complete because that's the very first thing that the search looks for. Without that being on and complete, your agents are not going to be going into your service plans. Since this is a workstation search, it's checking to make sure that it equals Windows because we're looking for Windows workstations and that the machine is not a server. Right now, it's looking to see if Manage 24/7 is selected in that drop-down under the Ignite tab. And you can see the name of the service plan here is set up. So the two fields I'm going to focus on is changing the one for the extra data field and renaming this search. If you notice right now, this is indicating it's locked. If I just simply changed this, I won't be able to save my changes. But as soon as I make my changes to the search, and I've now changed it to match what's in the extra data field dropdown, the call center workstations 24/7, I've now come down here and also renamed the search as call center managed 24/7. Now that changes it to a save button rather than being a locked button, which is going to give me the ability to save it. But before I do, I should definitely test out the search first and make sure, well, there's my computer that I already have aimed at the service plan. So it's going to pick up this agent and put it into the group when I use this search. So now that I've confirmed that my search works the way I want, I have it set up the way I want, it's ready to be applied to this custom service plan group. I can go ahead and click save. And right when I click save, I'm actually going to get the save as new search window is going to come up and ask me if I want to save this as a new search. Now, I definitely want to be hitting yes, because if I hit no, I'm going to be changing this search across the board for all the groups that use this particular search, and that is going to give someone a very bad day. So you want to make sure to hit yes, and again, employ our best practice, don't get sloppy, make a copy. I am making a copy of the original search, but it has my tweaked settings in there, so I know now I can use this search for my custom service plan group. After clicking yes, I'm going to get a second pop-up window letting me know that it's going to take about 60 seconds to refresh the searches for the groups, which is great. So I'll click OK, back out of that window, and I'm back at the group window. Now I can't quite come up here and click the drop down and select my search yet because I have not refreshed the cache or reloaded the cache for my control center that I'm running on my machine. So what I would need to do first is actually cancel out. I have saved my search from before, and when I do that, it is going to ask me that I will continue without saving information. I will hit yes because I did go in here and finagle the search, but I really didn't make a change on the group itself. So I'll hit yes to continue without saving information. And when I get back to the control center, this is where I can reload my cache now, so I can then pull up that search. So I'll click my drop down next to my icon right here and select Reload System Cache. Once that cache does reload and the control center is back up again, I can navigate back into the group. And now when I click the drop down, I can select the search that I just created, the call center managed 24/7, and I can set that limit to search feature. To verify my settings are still working from before, because I do like to test things out a lot before I go ahead and go live with something, I will hit the preview run button again, and I will see what the search is pulling up when it opens up on the system. So we do have our Edgy Workstation 2 that we saw before when we tested the search the first time. And if I want to be a little impatient, I can go ahead and hit auto join now. And if I had 100 agents in here, they would be joining this group, and they would start getting the monitoring, the scripts applied, and the remote monitors applied that I need set up for this particular service plan. Now, if I don't hit the auto join now, I know those agents will eventually get into the group. About every hour or so, the groups will build in your automate system, and so the auto join search will run and get those agents into the group where they need to be. So it could depend on where you do it and where the database agent service is at running that actual process. So if you are close to that 1 hour mark, you could just go ahead and wait. But if you don't want to wait, you can hit the auto join now and actually kick off that process early and auto join those agents to the group. Okay, and with that, we have our key takeaways. We looked at our available service plans, and you want to remember that the standard service plans are our 8x5 or 24/7 groups. This is where most of our out-of-the-box monitoring is going to happen. We looked at those internal monitors for those groups and saw a lot of them were set up to create tickets. Some had some auto remediation actions in there. These are also our agents they're on a contract. We're going to be patching them as well. So this is where our majority of our agents are going to be. Next, we looked at our no contract, which is our break fix clients. These are the ones where we don't have any auto remediation or patching happening, but we do have our no contract monitors running to make sure that we're just kind of monitoring things. And if we pick up on anything going on with their systems, that we can go ahead and notify the client, give them a call, an email, and say, hey, we've picked up on this issue on your system, or we've noticed that a server is using a lot of resources. What do you want us to do to remediate this issue? With our AV only, again, as the group name mentioned, our AV only is going to be just watching the AV services that you have set up for your client and really nothing more. There's no remediation or auto remediation for other services. There's no patching that's happening on this group. You may have auto remediation for the AV, but that's about it. And then our backup only is a lot of the same story. The backup only service offering is only going to monitor those backup services, make sure those are running, and that the backups are happening on a regular basis for your clients. After that, we took a very brief look at the audit plans. And again, the idea for those is to provide useful data to potential clients. So you take one of those audit plans, which again, out of the box are pretty much a blank slate, and you can tweak the whatever audit plan you want to include some monitoring and gather information. So you could have them create tickets, you could simply have them raise alerts. It's just to grab that data so then you can maybe generate a report or go to this potential client with some tickets and say, hey, we've picked up on these major issues. I could fix these for you right now if you want to sign up for our excellent services. Then we looked at creating the custom service plans, because not all service plans are one size fits all. You can cater a service plan to yours or the client's needs, and you can use a service plan to distribute client-specific software. Again, going back to our call center example, we're able to have those 400 to 600 agents get auto-joined into that group, and then those agents will get that particular software we have set up that maybe gets installed via a script. We could have scripts run that check for the software, doesn't find it, installs it, or you can even have an update script listed in there that will go ahead and auto update that software to make sure everything's up to date and running properly. You can use that for pretty much any scenario and cater a custom service plan to exactly what your client needs. Okay, and with that, do we have any questions?
Well, Natko Miboyo, I'm happy to report that as of this time, we haven't had any questions from the audience. Do we have anybody in the audience right now who's got a question they want to throw at us? Don't be shy now. I would like to take this moment to acknowledge that perhaps indeed you do have a question you're trying to submit, but your keyboard's wireless dongle took exactly this moment to stop working. Maybe it's battery, who knows, but you're not able to get the question in time. What you can do is send us an email over to education@connectwise.com and reference today's webinar. That'll be forwarded to us. Oh, we got some lovely comments here. Someone who enjoys both of us and love our fantastic presentations. That's so lovely for the feedback. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much, Brandon. If you do have a question that does come up or come to mind after the presentation, you can always email education@connectwise.com, and you will end up reaching out to one of us Auto Bros, either myself, Natko, our Scotterator, Scotty, or DBB, yes, you know me, or Devin Barrett Barron, and we'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
I would love if we could get an Outlook alias for natko@connectwise.com.
Don't tempt me to do that, Scotty. I will do that. All right. Well, if there is no questions from the audience, thank you again, Brandon, and everyone else who has attended today. This session is recorded, so you can always go back and review it later once it is posted in our video library. And with that, I will wish everyone a fantastic day.